fantasy short stories. Selling Adama by Matias Travieso-Diaz. Mariama Lahai, a very young Temni girl from Sierra Leone, was seized, sold into slavery, and ultimately forced on board an English slave ship that plied the trade route from West Africa to the Americas. After a long voyage, the ship dropped anchor in Bridgetown on the island of Barbados. One of the slaves still alive at the end of the trip was a very pregnant Mariama. She had been impregnated during the crossing by Hubert Jenkins, the ship's first mate. Crowds gathered in the square in front of Bridgetown Harbor to witness the auction of the ship's slaves. At the start of the auction, Jenkins was asked to designate the slave he wished to acquire in lieu of his pay. He announced, "I choose Mariama Lahai." Mariama was delivered into Jenkins' hands, who took her to his quarters. That night, a trembling Mariama confronted her new owner.
"Why did you choose me? I have no skills and may die delivering your child. You could have picked one of the men who would be much more valuable to you if you chose to sell him."
"You're very pretty," declared Jenkins, seizing Mariama's face and squeezing her cheeks. He held her firmly in his grasp and added, "You've given me pleasure during the voyage, and I want to continue getting it. Once our child is born, if he is a boy, he will work hard in my service and will make me good money when I sell him. If it is a girl, I'm counting on her being as beautiful as her mother and joining me in bed after her first blood, if not sooner." Mariama was devastated by the news of the future that awaited her and her soon-to-be-born child. She prayed every night to Kuruma Saba, the supreme high god, begging for deliverance from her cruel master. If an escape was not possible, she asked for the gift of a male child whose life, though hard, would be preferable to what would befall a daughter. She lived in constant agitation until 10 days after arrival in Barbados, she went into labor and delivered a female whose lovely features were a blend of those of her parents. She had a honey complexion and prominent cheekbones, and an oval face dominated by lively hazel eyes and a sensuous mouth. Mariama named her Adama, meaning beautiful in Temni. However, instead of pride, Mariama cringed with apprehension at her lovely daughter's future. The night of her daughter's birth, Mariama collapsed into a troubled sleep in which she experienced a recurring dream. A strange figure with the body of a giant spider and a misshapen man's face kept appearing before her closed eyelids, only to withdraw into the shadows. At length, the creature seemed to solidify and spoke to her in a shrill, chirping voice.
"Wake up, woman. We need to talk."
"Who are you?" questioned Mariama.
"My name is Anansi. I am the messenger of the gods, and sometimes protector of the oppressed. I have come to offer you a bargain."
"You don't even exist. I am making you up."
Not so. I am real, and I can help you."
"How?"
"I can deliver you from your master and take you and your daughter to a place of safety, away from the white devils that run these lands."
"There is no such a place," sighed Mariama.
"There is, and I can take you there for a price."
Mariama's eyes were closed, but even so, they became narrowed by suspicion.
"What price?" "I have a daughter for which I struck long ago a very profitable marriage deal. I have seen your exceptionally beautiful daughter, and I think I could do the same thing using her."
"What do you mean?"
"I would like to treat your daughter as my own, and in time work out a marriage deal between her and some powerful suitor. She would live well, and I would be richer and more powerful." Mariama became fully awake. My Adama is not for sale. You must be deranged to think I would agree to such a bargain. Come tomorrow, you may have a different view. Your master will come in the morning to take you and your baby back to the ship in which you came. He intends to have you both accompany him to his distant home as his slaves. That cannot be. He couldn't do such a thing. He will, unless we prevent him. How? There are two ways to keep him from carrying you away. One is to stop him. He is asleep next door. I will make sure he does not wake up. And you will make sure he sleeps forever. Murder him in his sleep? Mariama shuddered. The choice is between the lives of you and your daughter against his. I cannot kill another person, even an evil man like him. What's the second way? I can take you and your daughter away from him. Where? To a place that is safe and far away. You need only hold Adama to your breast and close your eyes. I will do the rest. What if I don't like it there? I promise I will bring you back if you ask me to do so. Mariama considered her difficult options. She would not kill Jenkins, and if she ran away with Adama, the White Masters would have the entire island searched looking for them. She and her daughter would most likely be caught and brought back, and she would be punished. Plus, her escape attempt in a strange land would be dangerous. She had no real choice. So be it. We'll go with you. Please, be kind. Mariama never knew what happened next, or how long her trance lasted. She was very cold and felt a gentle breeze buffet her body, and then it all stopped as quickly as it had started, and warmth returned. Open your eyes, whispered a chittering voice she knew well. At first, Mariama failed to understand the panorama that her eyes presented to her. She was standing outside a mansion atop a high place, surrounded by clouds that obscured the features of the land below. She fought a sense of vertigo and asked, Where are we? In the Iworoko Mountains, deep in the all-powerful Oyo Empire, not too far from your old home. What are we doing here? This is my domain, a secret palace overlooking this corner of the empire. I will make this mountain abode your own. What will I do here? Just raise and care for your daughter as she grows up. I require nothing else. I promise I will not mistreat either of you in any way while you are here. Why are we better off in this strange land than in Barbados? Because here you will live in luxury and be safe from your white oppressors. I do not dwell in this place, but I keep it for my special guests. You will only see me occasionally. How long do we have to stay here? Until Adama sheds her first blood and I can start bargaining for her hand with rich suitors. But that will take 13 years. So you will need to find something to entertain yourself while you wait. With these words, Anansi disappeared into the mountain air. The moment Mariama found herself alone, questions popped into her mind. How was she going to raise her daughter all by herself in an isolated mansion in the clouds? She went into the palace, and in the center of the reception room found a glass table entirely empty except for a terracotta lamp of the type one filled with palm oil and used to light a room. Next to the lamp, a strip of parchment held a message in Mariama's Temni language. Rub the lamp if you need anything. Intrigued, Mariama rubbed the side of the vessel. At first, nothing happened, but then a tenuous column of smoke emerged from the hole at the top of the lamp.
The column grew and solidified, becoming the floating image of a very dark man wearing a flowing robe. The apparition spoke in a hollow, unreal voice.
"Did you summon me, mistress?"
Surprised, Mariama replied,
I guess I did, though I intended nothing of the sort.
The apparition continued as if it had not heard Mariama's disclaimer.
"I am Bukor the Wise, and I have been charged by Master Anansi with assisting you in any way you require."
Are you a spirit or something?
Asked Mariama incredulously.
"You would not understand it if I tried to explain. All you need to know is that I can do almost anything that you could possibly need."
Right now? I'd like to know how I am going to stay alive in this prison. How I am going to raise my infant daughter all by myself, and how I am going to spend 13 or more years without contact with a living being and remain sane.
"I cannot guarantee you will remain sane, but I will take care of all of your worldly needs and help you raise your daughter. And there are enough things to occupy your time while staying here that you should not be too bored."
If you are so powerful as you say, how come you are going to serve me as a slave?
There was a barely perceptible shudder from the apparition.
"I am enthralled to Anansi for the next 100 years.
How did that happen?
There was another, more perceptible shudder.
Ye beat me in a game of dice.
What?
We had a wager, this place against my service for that period.
And you lost to him?
Yes. I think he cheated, but I cannot prove it."
Mariama could not resist a chuckle.
I thought you said you were called the Wise.
"I am,"
replied the creature ruefully.
"but it takes more than wisdom to beat Anansi."
At first, Mariama was angry at Anansi for confining her and Adama to an isolated estate in the mountains, away from the rest of the world. Little by little, however, she discovered the many treasures held within the palace. There were rooms for every possible activity and occupation, from a painting studio to a ceramics shop, a music room, a conservatory, several lounges and hot and cool pools, kitchens and banquet rooms, libraries, and even an observatory from which one could gaze at the heavens. The estate was surrounded by a garden in which she and her daughter could take walks regardless of the season, for the cold of winter never reached the mountain keep. Mariama never endeavored to make use of any of the arts and crafts contained in the palace's rooms, save for one. Her mother had taught Mariama to weave and sew fabrics to make clothes for herself and her sister. For that reason, she was captivated by the discovery of a knitting room, complete with a spinning wheel, thread, and bolts of fabric of all materials and colors, a work table with cutting and assembly tools, and a multitude of other devices that were unfamiliar but appeared potentially useful. She immediately began spending hours fashioning garments for herself and Adama, wall hangings, area rugs, and other decorative weavings. The occupation filled her hours, but could not calm the misgivings in her heart. Time moved with surprising speed. Adama grew from a baby into a gentle child, and then a lovely young teen as she approached puberty. Through the years, Bukor lived up to his promise of caring for the humans entrusted to his care. He prepared daily feasts for his wards, kept the estate clean and well-tended, and became a tutor to the young girl, teaching her not only letters and the history and cultures of the African people, but even to play the kora, a sort of harp lute, at which she soon became an expert. Anansi's visits were rare. He came 2 or 3 times a year, always in the middle of the night, and departed after a short stay in which he mostly conversed with Adama, checking on her progress. For these visits, Anansi adopted a humanoid appearance, showing up as a portly man with a protuberant belly and 8 legs, 6 of which he kept discreetly hidden under a voluminous black cape. He attempted to appear amiable and non-threatening to the child, although his efforts were undercut by the chittering quality of his voice and the gourd-like shape and greenish coloring of his head. When Adama became old enough to convey her feelings to her mother, she declared that the visits from the stranger were disturbing and causing awful nightmares.
Who is he? What does he want from us?
Mariama did her best to minimize the horrors of her forced deal with Anansi and the future that awaited the girl.
He is your uncle Anansi,
would reply Mariama, affecting an airy tone.
He's a very important man. He owns the palace where we live and others throughout the world. He's always very busy, but tries to find time to come and see you because you are his favorite niece and he loves you very much.
To this, Adama would protest.
But he doesn't look like you at all, so he can't be your brother. Why is my father as ugly as he is?
And Mariama would try to obfuscate.
He is actually your father's great-great-uncle, so he does not resemble the near members of the family.
Mariama's diversionary ploys worked until Adama turned 13 and began to question the entire enterprise of their roles vis-à-vis the repulsive relative.
What does he really want from us? I can appreciate that he has helped us live well for all these years, but he has also kept us hidden away. When is this going to end, and when are we going to get out of here?
Mariama felt it was time she talked honestly to her daughter about her fate.
Uncle Anansi promised your father that he would take care of us and would see to it that you married a powerful, wealthy man and became a great lady yourself. All these years, he has used Bukor to train you so that you are not just a beautiful young woman, but also a learned, well-spoken, and charming one. You are fit to be a queen, and Anansi will soon make the necessary contacts to allow you to become one. So, Uncle Anansi gets to decide who I am to marry. Not just him, I'll be involved also. How about me? Adama, dear, you are very young and know nothing about life. Just us, who have far more knowledge and experience, will try to make the best decision for you. This is the way things are done.
Adama did not reply, but her scowl spoke volumes. Mariama regarded Adama with regret and brushed her hair affectionately. Weeks after this mother-daughter exchange, Anansi made a surprise visit to his mansion in the clouds. He came in broad daylight, dressed in a silk shirt, baggy pantaloons festooned with jeweled stripes, and a dazzling ostrich skin cape. He greeted his guests and requested,
"Please, change into your best clothes and apply whatever cosmetics and perfumes will enhance, if that be possible, your peerless beauty. We are going on a fortune-seeking trip."
He would not respond to Mariama's request for explanation, so she and Adama dressed in haste, but with utmost care. They wore pale yellow silk mantuas, overskirts drawn back over the hips to expose the petticoats beneath, as was the fashion in the French court. Their light outfits enhanced the warmth of their skin tones, like exquisite chocolates covered by gold wrappings. Anansi examined them approvingly and extracted from a pocket in his cape 2 necklaces nesting diamonds and pearls.
"Put these on, and you will look like you are already members of one of the royal families of the world."
He led the women to the entrance of the mansion, where a carriage was already waiting, drawn by a pair of winged unicorns. They entered the carriage, and Anansi sat on a bank opposite theirs.
"Relax. It will not be a long ride."
Mariama asked again,
"But where are we going?"
This time, Anansi responded with a triumphant smile that showed the rows of sharp teeth that filled his mouth.
"We are going to the palace of the Oba to present young Adama to Abiodun, Arafin of Oya. He rules the greatest empire of the whole world.
The carriage descended from the clouds gently and came to a stop before one of the gates of the capital city of Oyole, where the Alafin resided. The guards who stood at the entrance to the city dispersed in terror at the sight of the magical steeds, which drew the carriage to the entrance of the palace in the center of the city. Anansi alighted from the carriage and, with a wave of the hand, drew open the heavy wooden doors. He then escorted Mariama and her daughter through a maze of corridors, ignoring the scores of servants, soldiers, and the courtiers who filled the halls of the vast structure. At length, Anansi entered the throne room and bowed to the man seated at its end.
"Ah, your divine majesty, I am humbled to be in your presence again. Permit me to introduce my wards, the most excellent Lady Mariama and her daughter Adama, who have come from far away to pay their respects to you."
Anansi was speaking in Yoruba, but somehow Mariama and Adama understood what he was saying and curtsied to the monarch.
"Are these the persons you promised to bring before my eyes?"
questioned the Alafin curtly.
"Indeed they are. I have personally prepared them to ensure they are worthy of being brought into your presence."
The Alafin gave the pair an appraising look and turned his attention to Mariama.
"I am Abiodun. Welcome to my kingdom. Where are you from?"
Mariama curtsied again and answered in a quivering voice,
"Lord, I was born west of here, in the land of the Temni, by the Colentin River."
"My armies have yet to travel that far,"
replied the Alafin apologetically.
"Is your daughter also a Temni?"
"No, she saw the light in an island called Barbados, across the big waters from here."
"I noticed her strange coloring. Her skin is a bit lighter than yours, and her eyes have shades of green and gold mixed with the brown. Is her father a Temni?"
"No, sir. Her father is a white man."
Abiodun's lips curved down in a sign of distaste.
"Is he alive?"
"No, sir. He died nobly, defending his family from intruders."
Mariama gulped, hoping that her lie would go unnoticed. How she hated to go through this charade. The Alafin went on with his questioning.
"Is your daughter nubile?"
"Yes, my lord. She stained the sheets for the first time only a few days ago. She's still a maiden in the full freshness of youth."
Mariama blushed, ashamed of her pandering, but hoping for the best for her daughter. Adama, who up to that moment had remained standing behind Mariama's protecting body, stepped forward with unconcealed anger.
"Mother, why are you doing this? Am I being touted like a cow at the market? You are embarrassing yourself and me in front of this man."
Anansi also stepped forward, interposing himself between the women and the seated monarch.
"Your divine majesty, please forgive the unthinking words of a young girl. She meant no disrespect."
The Alafin waved Anansi into silence.
"I like my women spirited, like unbroken colts. In any case, her words could not possibly manage to offend me. But I am displeased that you want me to enter into a holy union with a mongrel that carries the impure blood of the white devils. I would never dream of making a member of their race my wife, no matter how beautiful. I should have your head for this."
There was a momentary pause as the Spider-Man's face turned as pale as a winter moon. Then he recovered, and his features broke into a smile. He replied with false innocence,
"A thousand pardons, your majesty. I must have inadvertently confused you. I did not bring you the young girl for you to consider. She only came as a companion. It is the mother, a noble woman of the purest African blood that I wanted to present for your perusal. She is still young and is wise beyond her years, and a skilled weaver and musician."
"Silence, Spider! You are babbling. My bargain with you was for a maiden in her flower, Mariama here is not that, so our deal is off, and I have in mind to punish you for your chicanery.
Mariama dropped to the ground and grasped the Aliphine's sandaled feet in supplication.
Please pardon Anansi. He has been the guardian of my daughter since I became a widow and she an orphan. He's only trying to secure a better future for his ward, as do I.
Abiodun regarded the woman at his feet with new interest.
Mariama, you are beautiful yourself, and clearly a good mother and loyal to your friends. Those are virtues that I admire in a woman, regardless of age and condition.
I was hoping you would see it that way,
pleaded Anansi.
Silence!
Bellowed the Alifine.
Leave my domain at once. The woman will stay with me if they wish. If I find Mariama pleasing and she consents, I will keep her as one of my wives or concubines. Her daughter can be an attendant in our palace, and perhaps in due course she will join in marriage with one of my officers.
But Lord, I have spent many years polishing these gems to render them worthy of presenting before you. I deserve some compensation for my efforts.
Abiodun cracked a smile.
Spider, I marvel at your shamelessness and still have an itching to shed your blood. But you may yet prove useful to me in some future assignment that required guile and no scruples. Here.
He extracted a large purse from his tunic and threw it at Anansi's face. Immediately, 2 of the spider's hidden arms shot out and captured the purse in midair.
Now be gone,
repeated the Alifine.
As for you, ladies, what is your pleasure? Will you depart with Anansi or remain in my court?
Mariama replied without hesitation,
We gladly choose to stay with you.
Adama nodded in assent. Anansi turned and crawled away. Those in close proximity might have heard, and perhaps understood, the words he mumbled as he departed.
A deal that yields less profits than expected is better than no deal at all.
Born in Cuba, Matias Travieso-Diaz migrated to the United States as a young man to escape political persecution. He became an engineer and lawyer and practiced for nearly 50 years. After retirement, he took up creative writing. About 90 of his short stories have been published or accepted for publication in anthologies and paying magazines, blogs, audiobooks, and podcasts. Some of his unpublished works have also received honorable mentions from several paying publications. A first collection of his stories, The Satchel and Other Terrors, has recently been released and is available on Amazon and other book outlets. Hey guys, hope you liked that story. Matias is a returning author, and every single story that he sends, I love the way he brings different cultures to the table. And when I got this one, I really wanted to take it on because I wanted to try my hand at African accents, something that unfortunately I've never really had much of a chance to dive into. I've also always loved trickster gods, and Anansi is one of the more obscure ones that I've heard about. But if you guys liked this story, be sure to check out the rest of his work that I've got here on the channel. A lot of it has kind of an Arabian theme to it, but he's sending me more stuff with more varied cultures to it, and I'm really digging it. Anyway, if you guys like the story, be sure to leave a thumbs up and a comment if you're on YouTube. Or if you're listening to the podcast, just be sure to subscribe for more brand new short stories. I'm Chris Herron, and that's it for today's Tall Tale TV.